Hey guys, so today we're going to learn about shape patterns. This is a 4th grade lesson, regular ed lesson, and I have with me a future 4th grader here. This is my volunteer for the day. She's going to be coming up back and forth to our quote-unquote whiteboard. So ideally, what I would do here would have the classroom take a pre-test because technically this lesson begins the entire unit. So at the beginning of a unit, the pre-test begins. They would take it not knowing anything about shape patterns just so I could see how well off they are. I would use that to sort of form how I was going to teach them for the day. So we're going to pretend as if she and her class had just taken the pre-test, and then we're going to move on from there. So what I start off doing first is sort of an inquiry thing. So I'm going to ask the class what they know just from their own brains, from their own mouth, from their own knowledge. So Aubrey, what do you know about patterns?
That they go over and over with the same exact, like if you have shapes, same exact shapes, like circle, square, triangle, or you could even do circle, 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 triangle, circle, 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 triangle.
Yeah, you said those words over and over. So what is the word, what is that word that you're trying to say? It starts with an R.
Repeat.
Repeat. So pattern is something that repeats, right? Okay, very good. So after they tell me what they think a pattern is, I'll tell them the exact definition of a pattern. So pattern is a group of things that repeat in a logical way, okay? So today we're going to talk about shape patterns. So what do you think is going to be repeated?
Shapes.
Shapes, very good. Do you think shapes are the only things that can be repeated?
No.
No, what else can be repeated?
We can have numbers.
Numbers.
Colors.
Colors.
Basically anything.
Basically anything. Could you have all three
Yes.
in one?
Yes.
Could I have a black circle with the number 1 in it, and then a black rectangle with the number 3 in it, and then you have to fill in the next 2?
Yes.
Yes, you could. But today we're going to stick with shapes. Good? Okay, awesome. So what I would have them do is that they would be allowed to take out notes. They could take out a sheet of paper, they could write all this down. It's easy to have, it's just better to have them practice along with you so that they can sort of understand and grasp what you're doing, because a lot of kids, as easy as it seems, don't grasp the concept of repeating patterns because it is going to get more difficult as the lesson goes. Okay, so Aubrey, I'm going to draw you a set of patterns, okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to leave some blank, and you're going to have to fill them in.
Okay.
Okay? We're going to start off easy. Okay, Aubrey, will you come up and fill in the next 4 shapes? Awesome. So what is our shape pattern? I want you to say it out loud.
Square, triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle.
Now, how did you know that you were supposed to repeat these 2 shapes?
Because if you look at this, it's because you can, it's square, triangle, but then there's a blank spot, so you have to just remember, well, you have to do that pattern again. So square, triangle, square, triangle.
Yeah, you didn't just make these shapes up in your head, did you? You looked at the beginning and you said it out loud, and that helped you fill in the rest, right? Very good. This is a technique that you teach them, because when it does get more difficult, and I'll show you later, that it is hard for them to figure out what is going to come next. Okay, Aubrey, so we're going to do one next.
Okay.
It's going to be a little bit more difficult.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Now let's say it out loud. Circle, circle, star, triangle. Circle, circle, star, triangle. Very good. How did you know that those were the patterns you were supposed to repeat?
Because if you look at the beginning, they have the same thing and you can just redo it over again.
Very good. Now, what was the difference in this pattern and the pattern before this?
That the pattern before this only had two shapes, but this one has three shapes and
It doesn't have 3 shapes. How many shapes does it have?
three.
No, it doesn't.
Because those are two of the same shapes.
There's still 2 separate shapes.
Yeah, so 4 shapes.
Mhm.
And then the one at the beginning had 2 shapes. And that there's 2 of the same shapes right here beside each other, and on the beginning there weren't.
Very good. So, just because there's 2 shapes, 2 of the same shape side by side, that's still a pattern, isn't it? Yeah, very much so. Just because we have 2 of the same shape side by side doesn't mean that it's not a pattern anymore like the pattern before, right? Very good. So what she said is that the difference between this pattern and the pattern before was that there are obviously more shapes, but there are 2 shapes, 2 of the same shape side by side, and there weren't in the one before. A lot of kids think that this isn't a pattern because they think it's supposed to be one shape, one right after the other, and that you can't have a pattern with 2 shapes side by side. This is a concept that you have to sort of break them out of. Okay, Aubrey, now we're going to do one a little bit more difficult, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Aubrey, before you come up here, I'm going to ask you a few questions. What are the differences between these shapes and these?
That the first one at the top has 2 triangles, and the one at the bottom has 2 circles.
Okay, so we agree that the only differences between these shape patterns and these shape patterns are the ending, correct?
Yeah.
So how do you know which ending is going to come? Are we going to write here?
Because
Is it going to be this one?
No.
No. Why would it be this one?
Because you're just going to go back to the beginning and write what the beginning is.
Very good. What I teach students is that there are breaks in patterns like this. So when I mean a break, that's when the first shape repeats. So you have star, circle, triangle, star, circle, square, triangle, triangle, and then it repeats again to a star. I tell them to put a break there. This just helps them to see that the differences between the 2 sets. And I only tell them to do this when there's 2 changing patterns at the end because it'll confuse them. So Aubrey knows that we're going to go back to the beginning, right? And that's the ones that we're going to repeat. Okay, awesome. So come up here and write what's next.
Blanks?
Mm-hmm. Very good. And she knows that that is the pattern to use because this is the pattern in the very beginning. If I were to draw 5 more lines down here, she would know that we were going to draw this one down here. Okay, very good. Before we move on, there's something else that I wish I would have done before when I taught this lesson. You can have them do a craft in which you can cut out a bunch of different shapes out of construction paper, color construction paper, and you can draw a line down the center of a piece of paper, and you can go around and you can glue different shapes onto one side of the paper and make whatever, it doesn't even matter. You can make any sort of shape all the way down the paper, it doesn't matter. And it can be really elaborate, it can be really colorful, but they have to create the same shape on the opposite side using the same colors, everything, and that sort of teaches them patterns and to look for the right colors, and that will lead us into our game that we're about to play. So, Aubrey, remember at the beginning I said that shapes don't have to be the same color. You can shapes can have their own color, and you would have to repeat that exact color and that exact shape. So we're going to play a game today. Ideally, we'll have a classroom of 22 to 28 kids. You split them up into 2 groups. And each group is going to have their own team leader, and their own team leader is going to have a whiteboard. And the whole team can help. So what I do is I'm going to draw a pattern up here. Each shape is going to have their own color. I've got a bunch of different colors here. They have to not only repeat the pattern has to be repeated with the shape's correct color. It starts to get really hard, and they only have 15 seconds to do it. So, Aubrey, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to draw a shape up here first, a shape pattern up here first, and she is going to have 15 seconds to come up here and fill it in. Okay, Aubrey, you ready? You have 15 seconds. And I'm going to mix all the colors in here, okay? So you're the team leader. On your mark. Set, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, very good. So Aubrey's team would get a point. So now I'm going to draw another one. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. Okay, Aubrey, you think you can do this?
I think so.
Okay.
Good luck.
You can't do that. Okay, on your mark. Get set. Go. 1, 2, 3,
Oh no.
4, 5,
So slow.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Very good. So her group would end up getting a point for filling this in and so on and so on. After you do this, you would have them, they could do a craft, anything like that. And then the next day you would move on to a harder concept like number patterns or really any other type of pattern you wanted. But ideally, you move from shape patterns to number patterns. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. And we'll see y'all soon. Bye-bye.